forward with the Dekker Team. Moving forward together with the Dekker Team.
We at the Dekker Team have enjoyed for over 35 years helping people, not only selling and buying real estate, also helping people build their finances, helping people build their self-worth, helping people build their faith, and helping people strengthen, heal, and flourish in their relationships. 35 years of helping people build their life and their home. And today, we're going to discover what are the true benefits of homesteading. And I'm talking with Ryan Dekker, my son, who's really gotten passionate and involved in homesteading. And he will pick up the phone and cheer my ear off for half an hour if I let him.
Whatever I
talk about farming. And I just love going over and helping him on the homestead and
very grateful
doing things. It's nice to use your hands sometimes, you know. So, Ryan, what are the benefits of homesteading that you've found? You've been really into it for probably the last year.
Yeah,
but
so
also
I went
renovating
from
the farmhouse.
right, the farmhouse took a lot. We went from kind of enjoying, gardens and dogs and being outside and in a, couple hours a day kind of thing, to then moving to more homesteading, to then almost farmers. So we're kind of on that cusp of.
So you went from about a 3/4 acre lot to 18 acres roughly, or 16
just
acres?
over 18.
Just over 18 acres. Okay. And you can do a lot on 18 acres.
Can you ever? And I mean, it depends on, what you want to accomplish, but you can do a lot even on 5 acres, 10 acres, your land will also dictate what you can do, but it'll also drive you to new things. It's very interesting how being in that environment causes me to want to do things I had no desire for before.
Right. Okay. And so you're talking about the land now, the quality of the soil, whether it's sandy loam or rocky or clay,
the space, the air, the trees. Like if we had forests, we could do forest raised pigs, but we don't have a lot of wood lots. So now pasture raised chickens and sheep and cows is a better option for us. So your land and what you're buying, there's so many different options.
Right.
Getting the best out of the land. So
So I've seen a change in you in the last year, and your health, your energy, your and what's kind of neat is you can do this as well as your job.
Yeah.
You don't have to. You're not 100% a farmer,
right?
Yeah, and it's a passion. It's a hobby. You're so excited to it. You don't have to go out and do things because there's lots of things to do at home.
And it's interesting, like vacations and stuff, we can still do them. We have someone who can take over for the farm when we're gone, but you don't really want them as much because you're so happy and pleased with where you are and where you're headed. And it's just a very different experience.
Right. Now, for most people, the winter, if you're doing homesteading, is a tougher space to do things.
Winter.
But
this winter's been awesome.
It's been super mild. But you also have a large outbuilding, which you've now renovated.
Yeah.
And tell them what you're going to put in there.
You want to know? So in our outbuilding, we are putting in quail, a lot of quail. And we've insulated it, and we've created some really cool designs to give these quail an amazing life. Very, very healthy for them as well as people who
Tell us a little bit
eggs.
about that, because what did you research what quail like to do?
Yeah, so when we researched quail, a lot of them are still kept in battery cages. And I don't want to get too far into detail, which is really sad to me. But their number one thing that they love is dust baths. They go in there and they fluff up, it cleans their feathers, and mental health for them, it's incredible. And not wanting to take that away from them on a fairly large scale, we had to design something that wasn't designed yet. So we have designed, and we're starting to replicate on, not mass, but about 48 of them, dust baths that self-clean every day through gravity, and the eggs roll out. And so you still have all the benefits of cages without the negatives. So learning to create things for the animal. And I think as humans, we forget that. We live in a house in a box, and we forget that there's things that feed our soul, and, the way God designed us, like getting outside in the garden. And so I'm turning this back to the homesteading thing where, we also need to be developing our infrastructure in our lives to really bless us instead of it being, dreary in the winter. What can you do to add?
Right. So on your homestead, you did some, you created tractors. No, they call them tractors, but
they're really not a tractor. I think it's, it's basically a mini barn that you can pull along the field. So the chickens get fresh grass every day, and they're never in their manure for more than a day, which is not typical for farm animals. So learning these practices, there's so many of them, and they've been around forever, but bringing them back.
So when you do a meat bird, you move those birds every day onto fresh
once
grass.
to twice a day,
and then they're eating the bugs and the grass and and I noticed like a couple weeks after where they had been, the grass is perfect.
It's so perfect. I mean, the first couple of days it's manure, it's pretty gross, but after that, the manure soaks into the soil, and you're getting so many nutrients that have been missing from all these chemical fertilizers and different things that we add to lawns and grasses. And it revitalizes the soil and the earthworms, and creates just so much life.
So if you would like to continue this conversation that we're having, fire us an email and become part of our community, the Dekker Team community. Send a message to together@dekkerteam.com, and we'd love to continue the conversation. Maybe we'll send you some links to some podcasts, some blogs that we've written. And Ryan is just passionate about this. So if you think, hey, maybe I'd like to buy a little hobby farm and get into this, Ryan's your guy to find you a place.
Well, look, we'll find you the right one for you.
Yeah. And for me, I found there's pride. Like this last couple of years, we've been using the raised garden. We just added another one this year. Garlic is one of the things we love growing. And because we can easily store it and use it all year. But winter keepers, Candace introduced me to winter keeper tomatoes. And this last January we had company, and we put on the salad tomato. And that tomato came from our garden, and it had lasted from the fall till January. So there's all kinds of different produce that has different life cycles, right?
Yeah.
Like squashes and things have long life cycle and that kind of thing. So what other ways can you talked about not spaghetti, but you can do spaghetti sauce, but you did chilies.
Yeah.
With your excess tomatoes, you brew up big batches and then you freeze it in quantities. What other ways can you keep food for the rest of the winter?
So there's a few that are fairly cost effective, like freezing. You already have a freezer, just chop it up. You may need to blanch it. Thank you. I was going to say boil, but that you blanch it, and it'll last longer. Some people freeze dry, which is a more expensive and time consuming to get into, but there's so many benefits to different styles.
I think Candace gives us some chilies, right? Little red chili peppers that she freeze dries or dries those. Yeah. And so then those are great. You just throw them in a stew or whatever, and the flavors come back out. And your kids are loving this, right? And they're not eating as much processed food.
Yeah, and there's something different with a garden vegetable. It just hits different in your stomach. It feels fuller, more more there. Right. Something grown in the earth. Right. And when you get to be a part of that and your kids get to be a part of it, it's pretty cool. So what can you do where you are right now? And we're grateful that you joined us on Life's Inside Track, because when we move forward together, we got this.
Moving forward with the Dekker Team. Moving forward.